Our guest today has survived life on 3 different continents and the heavy lifting of rebuilding his own life, which is a journey he captures in his new book called Now That I'm Still Here, reminding us that survival is often found in the quiet moments between the big moves. Welcome back to Surviving Ish. Chris, man, thank you so much for checking out the platform and trusting us enough to come on and share your story with us. I appreciate you being here.
It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of introduction. Tell us about you.
I've always been one of these third culture kids. I'm not sure if you ever come in heard this term before, but I grew up everywhere. It's like it's a label that we have for people that children that didn't grow up in the same culture as their parents or the same country. I grew up overseas most of my life, from South America to Africa to Europe, and I always felt a little funny, a little bit different than everyone else, like socially awkward. I didn't read social cues very well, so like if someone was upset, I couldn't tell and or understand why they were upset, right? And it wasn't until I got diagnosed with autism at 35 where kind of everything clicked for me, right? Well, it did one of two things. It helped me find, it gave everything I was feeling inside a name, so I knew what to address
Yeah.
and how to work with it so that it becomes a gift rather than an excuse as to why I can't do something. And the second thing it did was it opened the door for psychological abuse. It started with my mother-in-law at first. You're autistic. You shouldn't be married to my daughter. Like, you people aren't stable. By the time I got diagnosed, I owned a house. I was working with the federal government. I drove a car. I was raising a dog, who's still alive, by the way.
Yeah.
So, like, how am I not functional? And, I led a otherwise unremarkable, in quotes, normal life, other than being a little quirky. It turned to, well, you should kill yourself. And it became a daily thing with my mother-in-law and my then wife. And after 3 years of listening to this, you kind of believe it.
Yeah.
And so I'm a 2-time survivor. After the second time, my sister was like, as she found out about the attempts and stuff, she's like, we're getting you out of there. And so, long story short is I got out, I got treatment, and I'm one of the lucky ones that I had insurance, so I had access to quality care. I had an understanding boss who said, bro, like, you need to work on you. Like, go take a month, 2 months, whatever you need, your job will still be here. And so it took about a month and a half to get the help I needed. I came back, I got promoted twice. And then, as I was working through my stuff, I met a girl and I started dating her. I wasn't looking to date. I wasn't ready to date anyone. And because I was still trying to fix me, like,
Sure.
years of psychological abuse, my trauma response was still so high, right? And I think she was an angel. She catapulted my healing in ways that I couldn't have imagined. I was like, you might not love me because I'm autistic. She's like, bro, like, my cousin's autistic. He's brilliant. Like, want to go milk carting now? And anyway, and then comes this book. She got sick in April or March of last year of 2024. 2025. Sorry. We're in 2026 now. And I never thought I'd write a book. And I started writing to her as a confession as to why I was so difficult to love and why was my trauma response was so high. She knew bits and pieces. She didn't know the full extent. I was a little ashamed of telling. It's not an easy thing to tell someone, dude. I was in a psych ward like 4 months before I met you. It's not easy, and that comes with a little bit of stigma. Like, are you crazy? No, I was like, wasn't there because I was crazy. Or crazy people tend to say I'm not crazy, but
Right.
I was there getting help, right? Because of this. And so it was a confessional to her. The audience was her until she died. She died when I got to her chapter. And like, and I was like, not now what? And the same day I got news that I was getting let go because of Elon Musk decided to shut down USAID and roll it into the State Department. That took 14,000 employees no longer had a job. It was just overnight. And, so I was a little upset. I just lost my lady and my job. And yeah. And my sister started reading my book. I sent her some snippets and she's like, bro, you gotta finish this, man. Oh, you're being a nice sister. Like,
Right.
like, that's what you're supposed to say to your family member, if you're a good family member. And
Right.
I was like, you're just trying to build my confidence up. This is crap. I've never written a book before. She's like, do me a favor, send this to Martha. Martha is her mother-in-law. She has got a relative that used to be in the publishing industry. Just see what they say. See what they say, and then if it's no good, cut your losses. And I got a response back saying, if I don't finish this book, my kneecaps would be broken.
Wow.
Yeah, personally by them, and then that's the book, and that's
Yeah.
a
I
little
mean,
bit
then you
of
had no choice.
yeah, yeah. So I was already like 18 chapters in, and then I was like, what do I add now? And there we go. And that's like a long-winded answer of who I am, and a little bit about me, and
No, that
yeah.
was perfect, man, and I've got a bunch of questions, but
Mhm.
before I get to that, I had told you how, we like to talk about maybe some of the just petty daily grievances, the surviving issues,
Yeah.
that we all just struggle with. So before we get too much deeper into the book and your journey, let me ask you, like, what's one of your like petty grievances right now? One of your surviving issues right now?
How messy and nonlinear it is, right? Like, it's I like I said, like, I'm not in the same space I was, like, February 2024, but I'll be at a grocery store, and I'll hear a specific tone of voice, and it'll, like, immediately launch me back to the same room with my ex-wife, and of her telling me, like, "You should kill yourself because your autism is exhausting." And I'm in that space, and then it's like, how do I get myself back? Then I'm like, my mood's done for the day, and it's like, oh, that's so frustrating. Like, I shouldn't be there now. Like, I'm like, but it that's the thing about like trauma. It's like it comes and bites you in the ass when you're not expecting it. And
Yeah.
it's a little as a tone of voice or a sentence or a song that can like throw you back to a negative space.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I I used to think that I would be healed or I would try to use the word cured. And then I got into a place where I would get down on myself because it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years since I was a victim of rape and attempted murder
Mhm,
11 years ago, and
mhm,
so so I would think, okay, it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. When am I going to be cured? And
mhm,
then I realized, luckily through therapy, that's a word that I like to use. We're never going to be cured. We're just going to find those tools and resources to help control it. When we do get
mhm,
triggered, when we are in the grocery store and we hear somebody that's not even with us using a tone that brings us back to that ugly place, I now have the tools to ground myself and realize that this is not here now. This is not happening now.
And you said something interesting. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine not that long ago. I was in a spot much like you, like, why aren't I fixed yet? And I was so frustrated with myself because, it's exhausting for us, going through this. It's also exhausting for the people around us. And like I came to the conclusion that there is no deadline to healing. It can, it's taking you like 11 years still, right? It could take another 11. It
Right.
could take it could take me 4 years. There is no everyone has to move at their own speed, and that's okay.
And-
It's just the mere fact that you got out of bed and made your bed is a win today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that, and that's the kind of like takeaway I had with my friend. It's like, just look at the small wins. You got out of bed, you took a shower, you walked outside. That's enough.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions that I had just, from the introduction that you gave. When you said that your mother-in-law would say that people like you, was she talking about like was she talking about the autism, like the autistic
Hmm.
community? When she
Yeah.
people like you? Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, I was fine. There was no, and I'm using the word fine loosely, right? Like,
Sure.
I was like, from, okay, I could be a little direct and a little too blunt. I could come across as rude. But other than that, like, I'm providing us, look, we bought a house in Maryland by the water. Like, we've made a home. Like,
Right.
why is the diagnosis now the problem?
Right.
That was a hard time. That was a hard thing to reconcile in my brain, right?
Yeah, and the fact that the diagnosis wasn't an answer for everyone, that it shows that you're not being a blatant asshole when you,
Mhm,
speak, directly. And but then that would also, in my thought process is, one of my really good friends is autistic. And I have learned that in the beginning, I would be taken aback by a couple of tones or a couple of things that maybe it was worded a certain way. But I learned that it was okay for me to ask her, like, "Hey, when you say this, this is what I'm hearing. Is that your intent?" And most of the time, it's not. And we talk it out,
yeah,
and we're good. So I felt like when I learned her diagnosis, it also allowed me to allow some grace and to be patient, to be
mhm,
kind, but to also educate myself along the way of saying, "Hey, this is what I'm hearing right now. Is this what you're meaning?" And most of
mhm,
the time, I'm wrong.
yeah,
So I appreciate the fact that you said that, getting your diagnosis, like, you were able to turn it into a bit of a superpower where it was not this detrimental, horrible thing anymore. You found comfort in knowing and was able to turn it into something that you are able to control and using as a superpower, writing your book and acknowledging
right.
these things. I think that's such a big, cool deal.
And, like, I try to approach it from the attitude of it it contextualizes me, right? It doesn't provide an excuse.
Right.
It's not a carte blanche for me to be like, "Well, let me be blunt and rude," like, or come
Right.
across as blunt and rude
Yeah.
because I'm autistic. That gets annoying real quick,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But it's like it allowed the opportunity, for instance, to come up to my or go up to my colleagues and say, "Hey, listen, I know I can come across as a bit rude and blunt, and much like your friend, 98, 99% of the time, I don't mean to come across as an asshole.
Right.
It's just like my unfiltered processing um, is making me talk a certain way, and I just it's efficient, right?
Right.
Um, if I'm coming across as rude, give me or recenter me. Like, hey,
Right.
Chris, what did you mean? Right?
Yeah.
Much like you do with your friend. What did you mean? Like, is there a way you could say, this is how I'm taking it? Is this what you mean? "Oh, no, I'm sorry," and, so that way, like, I can reframe and recenter and actually say what I mean in the intended way I meant.
Right. And
Um
I think that's so great, right? Because that is, in my opinion, that is you taking control of the situation,
mhm,
and you taking accountability, and you saying, "Hey, like I have autism, I may say something one way, I'm hearing it, meaning it one way, and then the way that you're receiving it, let's talk about it, like
yeah,
call me out on it. I'm man enough to take it. Let's do it, like I appreciate that.
yeah, and, it's I didn't at the time, and still, I didn't want it to fall into, like, victim mentality of, like,
Right,
"Oh, I'm not," and be like Eeyore, like,
right.
because, it overall, I think neurodiversity, I don't care if you've got autism or ADHD or dyslexia, like, if you can it's a strength, like, if you learn to leverage it, right? Because you've had to find creative ways to survive given the cards you've been dealt with, and it allows you to think of things or through things a little bit differently than the neurotypicals, right?
Mhm.
And with that comes a different set of insights, a different way of looking and seeing, and maybe the solution lies somewhere in the middle. Okay, maybe what I'm thinking is too out of the box. You're too in the box, right? And like we can talk through ideas and like collaborate, and it's like out of the box, but more centered and more realistic. And it's I and that's what I wanted, how I wanted to approach and still approach my autism today. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's got its annoying things, like, why does this pitch of a kid's voice bother me so much, right? But I can do calculus in my head and give you an answer in, like, 3 seconds. It's like, I could deal with the kid. I use these headphones. If a kid's crying, I just put these on and boom, problem fixed. And then I'll wave at the kid, make funny faces, and make him laugh kind of a
Right.
thing. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate that because I think that we all have experienced people, or maybe even have done it ourselves, where I know that when my attempted murder first happened 11 years ago, there would be times that I would use that as an excuse to justify something that I just said or did that maybe I'm embarrassed of or shameful of. If I'm able to say, well, maybe I was triggered, or remember I was a victim of this, and so my brain isn't fully healed and I'm not fully there right now. And sometimes that could absolutely be true. But I had even caught myself sometimes been in situations where that was my easy out to use it to guilt someone into how they're going to
mhm,
react to me. And luckily, I learned that very quickly. That's not healthy. That's not who I am. Like I want to take accountability, and I want to say, you know what, I think I might have been triggered with this. Or sometimes I just want to say, you know what, this wasn't a trigger. I was just pissed off and handled this. I reacted quickly and gave you what emotion I was feeling before I thought about it. And I want to take accountability of that. So I admire the fact that like you are saying, look, I want to take accountability. I'm not going to be perfect. Sometimes I may say something or do something, but you're not using that as the crutch or the get out of jail free card.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I do fall into, much like you, like, I'll be annoyed and pissed off at something too, and I'll have a conversation with my mom, and then, like, she'd, like, harps on one thing, and then I just snap, and and, like, sometimes I'm, like, legitimately triggered, and it's like, I'm taken aback, but, I like you, I use it as a carte blanche for everything sometimes, and sometimes I'm just being an asshole, and,
Right, right,
and I have to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like,
right.
I was just
Yeah,
yeah, and, you have to, like, reflect, like, was I really triggered, or was I just in a pissed off mood?"
right.
And yeah, like, I I struggle a lot with that of, like, trying to be my it I don't want it to be a situation where it's like a boy who cried wolf thing every single time. Because realistically, like attempted murder and rape, that's super traumatic, right? And it changes the way you see the world. And same with psychological abuse.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, like I can't it's maybe in the beginning uh, you can be triggered, but like 100% of the time, all the time, it's not
Right.
realistic. Like,
No.
and that's how I like process and think it through. And then it forces me to be like, okay, I was just being an asshole today. Like,
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
really apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad that, people like me and you we can recognize, and
Mhm,
I've even recognized where people will still treat me a certain way because they still look at me as a victim of something brutal, and they don't
mhm,
acknowledge the growth that I've had and the way that I have embraced it, and I'm using it as my superpower now. That's why I have this podcast. That's why I want to
mhm,
talk and share, these stories and these moments with other people. And so I had to start having conversations with people of, I'm not this fragile, broken person anymore. And that was sometimes I feel like that was harder for a lot of people, supporters to accept and understand, because
mhm.
they were looking at me that way out of the best of intent, right? They just wanted to love me through it, and they did, and that's why I am here where I am today. That's why I have accomplished what I've accomplished with my healing. And so there's been some conversations that have been hard for other people that I wouldn't even realize that would be that hard for them, you know?
Yeah, it's something I struggle too with. Yeah, it's hard. Like you said, people really do their best to be empathetic,
Mm,
and then that's where it comes from. It does. I believe it comes from a place of empathy,
mhm.
of like, oh man, they went through this, and but at some point, like, where does the line blur from? And I hate to use the word pity, but maybe pity,
Yeah,
for lack of a better word, right? And just acknowledging it happened, and you're no longer a project to be fixed, right? And because ultimately, like, it's great to acknowledge that this thing happened to you. It was really shitty, and I empathize with you. You shouldn't have gone through that. Um, and I see this a lot with my sister, for instance. I love my sister to bits, and she still wants to fix me, even though even though I need to do the work. I need to fix myself. She can't do it for me, and I'm gonna fix myself in my own way. Just let's stop looking at me as the kid who went through all this abuse and 2 attempts. Like, yeah, I'm so much better now though. You like, yeah, I'm struggling. Life is a little hard. 2025 wasn't the easiest year,
right.
but I survived worse.
Yeah,
And like, even though I'm not up here, I'm like maybe here. Like I'm like 75% of the way there. I don't know, but I'm not at zero anymore, sis. And
right. Absolutely.
I,
And so I want to ask your opinion on this because, of course, I think this is one of those things where there's no right or wrong answer. I personally have a love hate relationship with the word fix because
Mhm,
that 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 means that I was broken. And I don't know that I ever
mhm,
considered myself, even at my lowest to have been broken. Now, were there bruises? Were there cuts and wounds? Were there band-aids on things until the scar
mhm,
developed? Absolutely. But when people would use the word fix and say, I just want to be part of fixing,
mhm.
I'm not broken. I'm just not at my best right now. So when you use the word fix, like what is your relationship with, like, how do you feel about that word?
I I tend to agree with you, right? In the sense, hmm, it's a very thought provoking question
Yes.
because I think there are things that could break you, right? Or you're not you're not whole anymore. For me, I was fine, and then I got this diagnosis, and all of a sudden it was a erosion over years, right? That I was no longer the person I was before. I don't know if broken is the right word, but I wonder if what other word is there?
Right.
Um, and and I think it's like going through things like attempted murder or psychological abuse or rape. I think those have the ability to break your spirit,
Sure.
or but you're right on the word fix. It's but then what would other words what would be a better word, like mending, right?
I
Um,
know. I know. That's why I like that's
it's
why I
like
like to ask people their thoughts on this. Because
it,
what I found myself saying is I used to say, my smile was stolen from me or, my dreams were stolen. And then as I started it healing and changing, I ended up not liking that term either. And I found that nothing was stolen from me, just things were put on hold. Right? Like my smile was put on hold. My dreams were put on hold and things kind of got rerouted. I never dreamed of being a podcaster, and by this was not what I was going to school for. This was not my dream. This is just things got rerouted and that's one of the perks that came from my tragedy.
maybe reclaiming yourself would
Yeah.
be a better word, right?
Yeah.
And the person you reclaim at the other end isn't going to be the same person before, at T0, because things like this change you. You learn from it, right?
Yeah.
And you turn this into a podcast. You turn your tragedy into a podcast. I turned it into a book that hopefully allows me to help others get the mental health care access they can't afford to get, right? And maybe that's the person I'm reclaiming now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I love that.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's and I think ultimately, if you put in the work, you reclaim a stronger version of yourself.
Yeah. See, I like the reclaim because we could have said we're going to fix us into being a stronger person versus reclaim. And I don't know, the word fix just never really settled well with me for some reason. And so that's why I always like to ask people that question because I want to know their thought process on it, hoping it intrigues me to think of it differently or even like the word reclaim. I love that. I love the fact that I have reclaimed and I was put on a different route, one that I never expected to be on, would have never chosen to be on. But the funny part about that is I probably wouldn't change it because I like where I'm at now. I like where I'm going,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't been here if it not had been for my tragedy. So what I've reclaimed the victim mindset to the survivor thriver mindset.
Yeah, and I think the space, it's okay to be in that victim mode,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning, like when you're absolutely shattered at your lowest, like. But then for me, at what point does it get old staying in that space?
Right.
And it's something I thought a lot about, of like how do we transition out of that victim mode to that survivor thriver? And like, okay, like now it's time to pick yourself up off the floor,
Right.
right? And I think it comes in at different times for
Mhm.
people.
Yep.
For me, it took me, and I think this is why I like the word reclaim too. It's I was doing things with my new lady that, for instance, I got to reclaim Valentine's Day, right? Because Valentine's Day 2024, my ex-wife handed me the knife and said, "Hey, end it now," right? 2024 or 2025 Valentine's Day, we had so much fun, right? And, it started off as a small little dinner here and like little cool little gifts, but then we just went out and like roamed Plymouth and bar hopped a little and
Yeah.
played darts and just laughed, right?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, like this is different. And just like my everyday life was reclaimed too. It was like,
Yeah.
you're autistic, who cares? She would literally say like, I don't give a you make me laugh,
Yeah.
we have fun together, and like you drive everywhere. That's helpful. You get it?
You're right.
Yeah. And like don't I don't want you to ever brood because brooding is for Batman. It's like literally is what she told me. Like, and yeah, so I think being able to find someone to help you reclaim or even if you don't have that someone just yet, find ways to like reclaim yourself,
Yeah.
like little small wins.
I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm so glad that she was such a major that you had her and that she was such a major part of your reclaiming, a part of your healing. And thank you for sharing her with us. Do you mind if I ask, did she ever get to read the book at all?
She heard pieces of it. She was intubated in a coma, and the doctors and her parents would tell me, like, she can hear you, right? And, they had anecdotal things of like, when people come out of the coma, they say like, "Oh, I heard your voice," or "I recognize your voice, nurse." Like you were telling me this. So like, the thought was that like I would read to her, and like hopefully she'll hear me, and then the hope was that she would come out the other side, and the book would be finished, and then she could read the remaining pieces herself or start from the beginning. And unfortunately, her parents had to make that difficult choice. I could not imagine making that choice. It's not. First of all, I would hate for anyone to have to make that choice, but it's not natural for a parent
Right.
to bury their child. It isn't, right? And I remember getting the message from her mom, and she, they're, they're wonderful people. And this is the mess. I remember the message being this, like, I am so sorry that you're not going to have the life you two thought you were gonna have, right? That we had to make this call, and I'm sorry for that. I'm like, don't okay, like take my feelings into consideration a little. Thank you for that, but like, don't apologize to me for having to have had to made that. I didn't tell them this, but you don't have to apologize to me for making that decision. It's a tough call, and I'm sorry you had to make
Right.
that decision, right? And it kind of like took me aback as to why are you apologizing to me? Like it just maybe say I'm sorry we lost her, like we had to make that like the yeah, and I it's just who they are as people. They're so empathetic.
Exactly. And I think that absolutely shows a lot into their character, but I think it also shows what they see as who you were to their daughter and who their daughter was to you. And so I think them acknowledging that is maybe also a nice reminder of how things can be and should be versus the way things are, because had it been the situation with mother-in-law and ex-wife, there probably wouldn't have been any, you know,
No,
and had thank goodness it did not happen, but had there been, success in any of those attempts that you had, there probably still wouldn't have been any kind of empathy for the survivors that did lose you, from
mm,
their mind, from their perspective, so I think that's a beautiful gift that her parents gave you, by just acknowledging that.
and we were helping each other out because she battled like she did a lot of things for me, right? And I'm forever thankful for that. But you know, she I think she got me and she was empathetic because she battles her own demons, right? And she was able to kind of be that solid platform because she had her mental health struggles and um you know it like I tried to dance around it in the book as to what she struggled with, but you can guess. Anyone who reads that chapter can guess what she had. And I'll say it this way: I would often tell her how beautiful she was as a person. Um, she never felt it herself. She never saw herself as beautiful. I would order tuna because it was one of the few things that she would actually eat, and I would tell her things like, "It doesn't count if you didn't order it, so just take it off my plate," you know?
Right.
And like, I would get extra forks, and it's like and she's like, "But I feel bad taking your food," and I'm like, "I could order, like, hey, look at me, I'm a little chunky, like, I don't need this, but I can always order more," you know,
Right.
and, like and, you know, or and she forced me to eat healthier, like, she would eat the vegetables off my plate, and so I would order it on purpose so that she would take it off my plate, and she she put on a she looked completely different in the from when I met her to, the time she passed, and, yeah, it's I was thinking about this the other day, like, if I think if we had broken up, that would've I would've been fine with that, but I would've loved to still have had her in my life as a friend
Yeah.
because she was that kind of person where it's like she was just an angel. Like, she was so kind to everybody, and I was feeling low or someone was one of her friends lost their cat, and she went over and brought them, like, peanut butter cups and unannounced, and she you're like, you don't you need to keep those people around in your life that are kind and lift others up.
Yeah. That's something that I always strive to be as that person that, because it doesn't take those big gestures, just the fact that she showed up with some buttercups to just be there to laugh, cry, whatever her friend needed, she's gonna do and eat a couple buttercups. Like that's it seems small, but that's what those are the ones that those are the big things to me.
Yeah, and, like, what what made my life better was she would those little small gestures, right? She would leave little notes around the house for me to find, like, I found one under my pillow, one in my sock drawer, and it would be notes of, like, "I love you more than I wanna strangle you, hashtag winning." You know, she had that kind of, like, sense of humor or,
Yeah,
like and it's like, it made me smile, it made me laugh, and it's
I
like,
love that.
you know, it's like it wasn't and that's the thing too, it's that kind of annoys me is I think everyone expects this grandiose thing, Instagram ready moments that, show and demonstrate that you're healing or being better. But it's really those little micro moments that do lead to that Instagram ready
Yeah,
thing, you know, it's
absolutely.
and we have to find those, like, it there is a lot more power in those micro moments.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you, with you being in a place with your mental health at a time where you said there were two attempts, uh,
Mhm,
with going through this tragedy in this past year of losing her, that's a big trauma. That's a big deal. So how have you been able to not fall back into to maybe the unhealthy state of mind where there would have been thoughts
mhm.
of maybe attempting?
Ooh, therapy. I've been seeing the same therapist that I saw during my attempts and
Yeah.
that. So that was helpful. I also got involved with here in Massachusetts, the Association for Suicide Prevention chapters
Oh,
have groups for attempt survivors. And for me, I found that to be really helpful
yeah.
because you could share your story and there are others who get you,
Yep.
right? They've been on that same ledge and they understand that thought process. It like it's like asking your parents, what's it like being married when you've never been married? And they can explain
Right.
it to you. And you're not gonna get it till you get married. And so it's the same thing with this. Like it's hard to call up your mom or your sister and talk about I'm struggling with, with these thoughts. And they're gonna be like, they want to help, but they don't know how. Now call a friend who's been in the same shoes, and they could easily talk you off that ledge. Meet you for a cup of coffee, and yeah. So I think those two things have been helpful. I mean that yeah, I'm not gonna lie that it was a dark year. I just
Sure.
I I wrote an article on this the other day of like 2025 was really shitty. With having to lose my job shortly after, and losing my lady, and shortly after I went through all this crap, and that applying to jobs was frustrating, not getting ghosted, like, eh, but I think reaching out and talking to people and getting the help you need, I think it's what's kept me going,
Yeah.
and the fact that I have a dog, like, who's
Yeah.
gonna take care of her?
Yeah. 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 I really appreciate that because I tell people all the time, I have such an amazing family and such amazing supporters. Thank God
Mhm.
none of them know how to relate to what I have been through with the attempted murder and rape. They do their best, but I'm a part of, and I have been for 9 years now, a part of a men's sexual assault group therapy every Wednesday.
Mhm.
So I can mimic everything that you just said, knowing that I can call up one of those guys that has been through s- something similar to what I have been through, and they can relate,
Mhm.
and that's a big help. One thing that I don't do is, compare traumas. Like what happened to me is my big T. What happened to you is your big T. Whatever happened to this person over here is their big T. We can't compare those traumas, but
Right.
we can see that we don't understand. I've not been in your shoes. I've not attempted to
Mm.
take my own life. It would be so easy for like it would be easy if you called me for me to say, dude, don't do that. Don't think like that. And as if you could just snap out of it,
Right.
because my brain and your brain is not gonna be working the same way. And so to have that person that knows exactly what to say, or even just how to listen,
Mhm.
is it's the best medicine I've ever had. So I recommend therapy in all kinds of ways, forms, and fashions to people.
Yeah, I think therapy is a big one, that's really find a good therapist, and I think it's time that we destigmatize therapy too, right? Even if you haven't gone through trauma and you're just dealing with stuff, like,
Yeah.
talk to someone, right? It's okay. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean, like, you're messed up in any way. It's like it means you're dealing with that's all it means,
Means you're
and
alive.
someone's there.
That means
Yeah,
you're alive and you're human.
yeah.
I that was actually going to be my next question for you. Is you had talked about how do you tell someone that I was just in a mental hospital because the stigmas and things that come from it? And this is what I try to explain to people, and I would love your thoughts on this too, is if my lungs were hurting, I would see a lung doctor. If I broke my foot, I would see a bone doctor. If my brain, which is a very important organ in my body, if it is sick, if it is ill in any kind of way, why would I not want to go see a specialist to, and be proactive in helping fix that, for the better word that we don't like to use,
Mhm.
and so I try so hard to, bring awareness and to destigmatize some of these things, and especially when it comes to men. Men are taught, if you got an issue with something, you go out in the front yard, you fight it out, and you're done with it. And that's why alcohol and, suicide is so high with men, because we're a lot of men are told that you can't have bad mental health. That doesn't exist. You go fight out in the yard and you're done, and you pull your boots back up and you go to work or whatever,
Eh,
and you don't deal with things, you don't process things. And that
and you
leads
have to
to
be
more
taught,
disorders.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think I I think that's the annoying part about just society as a whole, right? Not I'm not picking and choosing. I'm just in most societies in this world, men are thought to be as tough. They have to be the provider, they have to be the and you don't show any emotion because you're a man, right? The flip side of that is there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of alcoholism because you're not supposed to feel that, right? You're not supposed to feel bad. And it's specifically around it's even worse with mental health, just generally speaking, because it gets made fun of, it gets stereotyped on TV shows, and it makes it harder for people to get the help they need.
Yeah.
And like at the risk of being cliche-ish, like it's okay not to be okay
Yeah.
for anybody. And if you need like if you're scared about it, if you're just anyone, and specifically a man that is struggling, like there are anonymous, like you don't have to tell anyone that you're getting help. Like you could even text 988,
Yeah.
and there's someone on that other end uh, that'll talk you through talk you down for whatever you're struggling with, right? Or you can talk to a therapist. But I would also encourage, like, I am still learning to do this in terms of putting myself first. Not as a selfish act,
Right.
right? But more of like, okay, not everyone needs to know that everyone will know if they like Google me, like, oh, he wrote a book and he went through and he had these suicide attempts and stuff. And it's like, I'm okay with that now. Like the people that will stick around. If it turns some people off, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I even without that, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea anyway, right?
Sure.
And that's okay. So I just treat it as that. Like it, if all things are equal, and I'm not someone's cup of tea, that's fine. Throw this into the mix, and okay, like maybe a little bit more. I'm not whereas it was 100. I wasn't someone's cup of tea for 100 people. Maybe I'm not someone's cup of tea for 150 people. And what value would that add to my life if they were around me and right? So in this space, do you and like try to fix you and not try to reclaim you, right?
Yeah.
Try to okay, and try to whatever's going on, work with it. That's how we grow,
Absolutely.
and that's how we learn. And if that growth and that reclaiming means therapy and talking to people and maybe sharing a little bit of your story to help someone else, then do it.
Yeah.
What do you got to lose,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
A few people that are like, ooh, like he struggles with mental health. Like, do you want them around anyway?
I was going to say, then you're probably not going to stay around me very long anyways. I don't know that I
Okay.
would want you to, So I've really enjoyed this conversation, Chris, and I'm going to be sharing the links to your book and But the last question I have for you is the title of your book I fell in love with. It really captured me. It had me asking all the questions that a title is supposed to do, to get me someone
Mhm,
to order and read the book. And the title is Now I'm Still Here. And so you had off record, you had told me that this whole book thing, the title, all that just accidentally kind of happened. And you told us about, the book, but how did you decide on the title?
yeah, so as I was, like I was almost done with the book. I was working on the last chapter, which is kinda like, encapsulates the like, it's just a reflection of where I was, and then, um, so as I was writing that, and I just started thinking, like, okay, February, March of 2024, I was in a bad spot. I was in a psych ward, and I was on my knees, right? It's 2025, like, a lot's happened. I'm better. I'm not done reclaiming. I'm not done getting fixed, right? But I'm not where I was in February. Like the I still wanted to my mind shifted from I want to die, and having a plan to okay, shit did hit the fan, but like there's a future. That's two opposites ends of the spectrum, and it's like, well, now what? Like I'm not here. Like I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I was. I'm in that kind of like purgatory. Now what? Like not what do I do now? Like where do I go? And that's how I can. It's like, well, and then now that I'm still here, now what? And then that's how kind of like,
I
okay,
love that. I love that because what it makes me think of is you found the want to. We have to have the want to live. We have to have the want to heal or fix
yeah,
ourselves, reclaim ourselves. And that moment that you find that want to is so empowering. And that leads to writing books and sharing your story, that it is so powerful that people need to hear. And so again, thank you for being here with us today and sharing your story with us and sharing all the cute little things that, memories that you have with your lady. And I can't wait to read the book and I want to share all the links. And of course I'll keep you posted on the release date for the episode.
yeah, and let me know. I love your show, by the way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I need either way. I'm gonna. I need to. I think you've got a good platform. So I'll need to return the favor in terms of like even without me, even if you never publish this, I think people still need to hear what you're doing anyway. So
Well, thanks so much. And no, it's definitely be published. Luckily, like
yeah,
I do record in advance, but I'll
yeah,
keep you updated along the way. And once I start making like the reels and the promos and everything, I'll keep you updated on all those dates.
yeah,
That way, if you have social medias, you can share them as well. But no, this is definitely going to be aired. It's been a great conversation, and I'm serious. So I'm horrible at reading books in the summer, but like right now, like I live in Tennessee, and so you live in Massachusetts, so like it's
yeah.
cold, and I love to just curl up by the fireplace, even if it is on the television, and actually, read. Like these are the months I like to do that. So I'm ordering the book. I can't wait to read it, and especially after having the conversation with you, is just really got me wanting to read it.
Yeah, and yeah, so I think I I need to give back somehow, right? I would have never written this book if it wasn't for Katie. I call her Ava in the book, but and so I started this campaign that for every 2,000 books I sell, 6,000 is going to go back. $6,000 is going to go back to helping three organizations. One for suicide prevention, the other for autism support, and the other for people with eating disorders to just get access. Because it's I don't know what it's like in Tennessee, but here in Massachusetts, it's difficult to get access to mental health care, um, and B, it's not often covered by insurance. It's and you have to pay up front, and if it is covered by insurance, you have to pay upfront and then bill the insurance company, but they only reimburse like 30%.
Yeah.
And like people times are tough these days, and it's people have to buy food for their kids, and they're gonna buy food for their kids and not pay the $150 to get the help they need. So I kind of want to fix that. I'm starting small now, like I'm starting like regionally, but hopefully it scales so that it can go nationwide and maybe even worldwide. But
That's amazing. That
yeah,
actually went to buy it even more, when I learned that it goes to, these causes that's amazing. And I'm gonna go ahead and release the link to the book and do like a little blog on it. That way we can start getting the word out there, and
mhm,
my listeners, we might be a small crowd, but we're mighty, and we share things and we promote things, and they're good people. And so, yeah, let's get it out there.
and I need to make it to Tennessee. I've heard great things of
Yeah.
Tennessee, especially the music scene in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
I live in Knoxville, so I'm like 3 hours away from Nashville, but I go to Nashville all the time. If you know anything about Tennessee, you know that everybody here except for me, I think, loves football. So, and I'm actually really close, like to, UT campus
mhm.
area. So we're like a big like football town.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I'm not a big football fan. I know Tom Brady, and I think that's the only player I know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, football's big here. But I want to go for the Smoky Mountains, the bourbon,
Oh,
or the whiskey, I should say,
the
and the
real
music.
moonshine.
Yeah, and the music. I love music,
Yeah.
and
I'm like 30 minutes away from like Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, which is
mhm.
real popular in this area. And of course, Dollywood, if anyone knows anything about that area, it's always, Dollywood and Dolly Parton. This is where I grew up. So growing up, we were always going to Dollywood and things like that. So I
my
home.
my friend Sam's on the or my friend Joe's on the Dolly Parton diet. He's now Jolene.
Oh, wow.
Uh, no, that was a bad dad joke.
Oh, wait. Oh, I thought you were meaning your friend is a singer at Dollywood. That's not what you were saying?
No, no, I said that he's on the Dolly Parton diet. My friend Joe.
Oh,
And I was,
yeah, I completely missed it. That's funny.
yeah, my dad jokes are terrible. They're notoriously bad.
It's funny though.
Yeah,
So
it's
sometimes the not getting it and having to explain it adds to the humor, you know?
yeah,
Well, Chris, thank you so much. Enjoy your new year. I don't know what day this will be released, but we are recording on the very first day of 2026.
yeah, and wow, so starting the year off with a bang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So far, I've enjoyed today. So hopefully that's a good sign.
I enjoyed the afternoon part. The morning part had me shoveling my driveway because we got snow today.
Oh, no. We
Yeah.
haven't had snow yet, but we usually get at least one good snow day. That's really about it. They're usually pretty good at like salting the roads. We may be closed down, 1 or 2 days, but it's like every few years we get a big one and we'll
Mhm.
be trapped in for a few days. And I kind of would not be mad at that right now.
Yeah, I mean, so I live on the coast, and like literally, I live a ton over from Plymouth, like the Mayflower Pilgrim
Uh,
town, and we don't get that much snow, and I want a big snowstorm.
yeah.
When I lived in DC, we got Snowmageddon and the snowpocalypse. We got like one storm brought us like 4 feet of snow, the other one brought us three, and they were like a week apart,
Oh,
and
wow.
I had fun.
Yeah. As long as I have my vodka, some food, I'm good. But like I order Uber Eat, like I have almost every meal delivered. And so I need to have enough warning to go to the store and have, because I cannot stand to be hungry.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris, thank you so much, man. I'll be in touch. Thank you for supporting the show and being a guest. I really appreciate it. I'll be in touch with all the release dates and all that good stuff. And yeah, thank you again. And I hope you get that snow day
And
soon.
thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon, Chris.